Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by Cachefly. CACHEFLY.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Network Sunday, November 12th, 2017. This is episode 1439. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Videoblocks from Storyblocks. Uncage your creativity. Get all the stock video you need for only $149 a year. Visit videoblocks.com/techguy to save on millions of studio quality clips from Videoblocks. And by Eero. Never think about Wi-Fi again with Eero's hyper-fast, super simple Wi-Fi system. And now the second generation Eero is tri-band and twice as fast. For free overnight shipping, visit Eero.com, select overnight shipping at checkout, and enter the code TechGuy. Okay, Michael, time to turn on the radio station, everybody. We're going to do a show. How about that, huh? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, broadcasting across this fair land of ours, 50,000 watts of non-directional power blasting into your radio set, and talking about tech. Yeah, this is a very modern show on a very old-fashioned medium. Computers, the internet, hard drives, GPS systems, anything with a chip in it. MP3 players. No, we don't talk about that much anymore. We do talk about smartphones, smartwatches. I was wearing one. Look at that. That's a smartwatch. Augmented reality. Lately, I've been kind of bemused, maybe depressed, maybe a little saddened, looking around as you see everybody walking and staring at their phones these days and living their life on the internet, the social media. And it's hard not to, as an older person, get cranky and say, oh, you young people, you're missing life. You're missing out on the world around us. I guess one of the founders of Facebook must be feeling the same way. Sean Parker. I wouldn't say he's an old person, but he's getting older. He was quoted this week basically apologizing for creating Facebook. He was Facebook's first president. Remember, it was Mark Zuckerberg who created it, but Sean Parker came along. He'd had experience with Napster, knew how to run it. He's the guy in the movie who said, you know what's better than $1 million? $1 billion. Of course, that was the movie. I don't know if that's what he really said, but he certainly helped Facebook become what it is. And now he kind of regrets it. Interview with Axios. He said, when Facebook, this is Sean Parker talking, when Facebook was getting going, I'd had these people would come up to me and they would say, I'm not on social media. No. And I would say, okay, you know you will be. And Parker says, and then they would say, no, I value my real-life interactions. I value the moment. I value presence. I value intimacy. And I would say, we'll get you eventually. He was right? He says, I don't know, though, if I really understood the consequences of what I was saying. Because of what happens when the network gets to 1 billion or 2 billion people, it literally changes your relationship with society, with each other. It probably, says Sean Parker, one of the guys who created Facebook, interferes with your productivity in weird ways. Yes, and your sleep, and your relationship with your children and your family. God only knows, he says, what it's doing to our children's brains. The thought process, this is actually a great insight and important to understand about why Facebook, and, you could say this about Twitter and, just the internet in general. The thought process, he says, that went into building those applications, Facebook being the first of them, was all about how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. That's what they optimize for. They call it engagement. But what it is your attention. The more you spend on Facebook, the more attention you pay, the more they can make in advertising, the happier they are. And it's not, I don't even want to ascribe greed to them. I mean, you know, it's a somewhat profitable business, but I don't think they do it for greed. I think Mark is genuine, Mark Zuckerberg, when he says, I just want people to connect. But what he probably would be more honest to say, I just want people to connect on my platform, right here. I don't think he cares about connecting anywhere else. He certainly doesn't care about connecting in real life. He wants people to connect on Facebook. He wants more of your time, more of your intention. He wants your engagement. Sean Parker says, the way we do that, we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit. You know, a little boing to the pleasure center every once in a while. Boing. Ooh. Because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post or whatever, and that's going to get you to contribute more content, and that's going to get you more likes and comments. It's a social validation feedback loop. Exactly the kind of thing a hacker like me would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. The inventors, the creators, it's me, says Sean Parker, it's Mark Zuckerberg, it's Kevin Systrom on Instagram, it's all these people understood this consciously, and we did it anyway. And I'm sure that they told themselves, and they still tell themselves, well, it's for the benefit of society, because if we're all connected, if we're all, you know, talking to each other, good things will happen. And we've seen that's true, and bad things, too, will happen. I think it comes down to, though, I've been thinking about this, because you know, this show's about technology. We want to talk about the benefits of technology, how to use technology, how to, you know, so you can use it better, so you can use it to your advantage, not disadvantage. So I'm not anxious to say that, well, get off the internet. It's bad for you. But I think I'm thinking about the problem, and I think I understand now a little bit about what's going on, and maybe there is a ray of light at the end of the tunnel. And the two words I'd use are uncanny valley. The real versus the synthetic. So in our lives, let's call our lives real, shall we? Our interactions with humans in the flesh when you're face to face, that's real. We'll call that the real thing. But even going back to the very earliest humans, back to the people living in caves, they wanted to create art, I guess you'd call it. They wanted to create a pseudo-reality. They painted on the caves. They painted the hunt. They painted paintings, beautiful paintings, if you look at the Lascaux caves, of animals being hunted from the very beginning. And we've created, that's what art is, isn't it? Art is creating a simulation of real life in a way that kind of tugs at your attention, tugs at your emotions, your feelings, grabs your eye, makes you think. And that's really, in a way, I think that's the creative impetus Mark Zuckerberg and Facebook felt. Not so much to grab your money, but to create something that you would be engaged in, just as an artist creates a painting, or a playwright creates a play, or a TV show, to engage you. When an actor's on a stage, that we know that's not real life, that's a simulation. But there's this problem when you make simulations, and that's the uncanny valley. When you make a simulation, in fact, you've seen it. When you make when Pixar did Toy Story, they very smart, very wise decision not to show humans so much as toys, because you can make a 3D animated Mr. Potato Head that doesn't creep you out. It looks like Mr. Potato Head. But when you do it with a human, remember that movie Polar Express, the Tom Hanks movie, where they tried to, it's a children's story, but they tried to make the characters look like humans, and it was creepy. It was weird, right? You look at those and you, or if you've ever played, and this is what made me start thinking about it, I've been playing the new Xbox Scorpio, which is 4K, high dynamic range. You know, all of what we've done with video games, even into virtual reality, is to try to make it more real. But there's something about the human brain is very good at detecting fakes, synthetic. And it just is a little unsettling. I was playing Call of Duty World War II, and you're landing on the beach at Normandy. And it's very vivid, except that the people look kind of creepy and weird because of that uncanny valley. They don't quite make that leap from synthetic to real. We're not good enough yet. So maybe that's why we get discomfited maybe now by social networks and the connections we're having. They're not real, are they? The connection you make with somebody on Facebook is a synthetic connection. It's close to real, but it's a little unsettling because it's not quite as good as face-to-face shaking somebody's hand, giving them a hug. But maybe we're going to get better at that. Certainly that's what Silicon Valley is working towards. That's what virtual reality is all about. Do you think in 5 or 10 years, 20, 30 years, 50 years, there will no longer be an uncanny valley? Will that be okay? 8888 Ask Leo. Let's talk. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. All right, I'm not going to use your love, Kim Schaffer. That would be wrong, but I will use your ears.
Might be illegal.
It would probably be illegal. I would like to use your ears to answer the phones. The phones are ringing. 8888 Ask Leo. 8888275536. Kim Schaffer is there to answer. And okay, that was weird.
After that video, now I know how today is going to go.
Yeah, I was playing a weird video during the break. But it was that I was talking about that uncanny valley thing, and that video is an example, I guess. It's got 47 million views on YouTube. It's called "Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared," and it's teenagers love it. Our teenager loves it because it mocks all the kind of sappy Teletubbies, Wallace and Gromit stuff they were forced to watch as little kids, and makes fun of it. But it's creepy.
It is creepy.
It embraces the uncanny valley.
And I don't get the title, but that's just me.
Don't hug me, I'm scared.
Yeah, I guess I'm missing something.
Well, because, the kids' shows are Hug Me, I'm Scared, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's weird. I know. I don't say I fully get it. But as adults, I think we're not supposed to get it. I think that's what to me is the most interesting, and kind of what I was talking about at the beginning of the show is
right.
Kids are entering a world that's going to be very different from the world you grew up in, and much different from the world I grew up in. You're a lot younger than me.
Facebook didn't exist when I was in
high
school. I mean, yeah. That would have been a nightmare.
So they're having these synthetic interactions with people that
right.
I don't know if they even know the difference.
Right.
I don't know.
And there's all that
and I don't know if it's
catfishing and
yeah,
people aren't even who they say they
right.
are. And,
but I don't know if it's bad. I think the kids who grew up with that
yeah.
most of them are savvy to that. I told the story before. My daughter, she's 25 now, but when she was, 12, she was into a thing called Neopets, which is very cool. I mean, it was internet. It was a website. It was a game where you'd have artificial pets that you would raise and you feed, and they had stores. And a lot of people her age learned how to do HTML and web design on that thing because you could, like MySpace, you could design a store and design stuff. And she did. I asked her, and she said, yeah, I learned CSS there.
Oh, wow.
I was like, wow, okay.
All I had was that stupid Tamagotchi.
Yeah, this was Tamagotchis, but on the web.
Yeah. And you could actually learn a skill.
She had Tamagotchis, too, actually, when she was a little younger. But anyway, yeah, she liked it. But the point being, I said, well, honey, if you go on there, you got to be careful because there's probably weird adults on there you want to stay away from. She said, don't worry, Dad, I don't use my real name. I'm a 37-year-old guy from Pittsburgh who drives a Corvette. That's her in her profile.
That's awesome.
This is when she's 12, so she knew.
She knew that she had to be somebody else.
And I think maybe the kids who grow up with this do have defenses and understanding beyond ours.
Some.
I hope.
Yeah. Some have the street smarts, others not so much. But
so the phones have been ringing off the hook.
Yes, they have.
Are these people mad at me?
Maybe,
no.
But not yet. Well,
I hope not.
Mark in Michigan might be mad at you if you can't help his mom retrieve some videos that she deleted.
Thank you, Kim.
So
I'll talk him off the ledge. I'll do my best. Hi, Mark. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thank you, Kim.
Hi, Leo. Mark in Michigan.
Mark in Michigan.
I'm calling on behalf of my mom. She's not very tech savvy. She has a Samsung Galaxy S5 that she bought in 2015. And all of her recent photos and videos were being saved to an SD card inserted in the phone. And she accidentally deleted the entire folder called Gallery, which is what houses, that's where all the photos and videos were stored on that SD card. And you know how Windows gives you a recycle bin and iPhone gives you a deleted files folder in case you accidentally delete something? Well, apparently Samsung, I didn't know this until this happened, Samsung doesn't default to any kind of a second chance. Do you really want to delete this? Undelete folder like that. I guess she had Google Drive turned off.
Yeah. So first of all, from now on, remember, it is our duty as people who understand technology to tell those who don't about backing things up. That one, this could have happened anyway, just by the card dying.
You're right. She's been pretty good about that. We actually have everything backed up.
Oh, good.
Up until literally we were about to back these up, and these were.
That's okay. She can get it. By the way, I shouldn't lecture you without first saying we can get it back.
Well, so that's the next part of my question. So we took the phone during the week into a major retailer. I won't name it, but major retailer, household name, with an in-house Samsung technician to see if he could help. He used a program called Disk Digger to try to recover the lost videos. But Disk Digger, or the version that he used, only found photos, no videos. So after that didn't work, we actually started Googling together in the store software that could find videos specifically. He thought the Disk Digger was going to do it, but it didn't. So we started seeing software that required rooting, and he didn't. No. Okay.
So first of all, you have an SD card and you have a computer. You don't even need to use the phone.
Right. So
you just want to use recovery software on. So Samsung, Android, like every other operating system, doesn't really delete files. It just marks them available, that space available for reuse. This space for hire, you can rent it, but until somebody uses it, it's still there. So you need a program that doesn't care what the directory says, doesn't care about that sign that says this space available, but says, no, is there data there, looks at it, finds it, and brings it back. I'm going to recommend a free program that does a good job. The program he was using sounds like, I don't know it, but it sounds like it was focused on recovering photos. You just want a plain old file recovery program that will recover everything. It'll go through. Let me tell you which one we used. We used one called Mini Tool Recovery for Android. Are you familiar with that one? Stop. Listen to me.
Okay.
It may be too late. You may have already damaged it. But you don't need something for Android. What you need to do is take the SD card out, mount it on a regular computer, and treat it like a regular hard drive, because it is a regular hard drive, and use a program that's designed to recover digital camera cards or photos and that kind of thing. You don't need something for Android because that's using it on a phone. You just can pull it. Have you pulled it out of the phone yet?
Yes, we did exactly what you suggested, and the one that we chose to use was called Mini Tool Recovery for Android. I have now come to learn, and we should have called you first, I now come to learn that you recommend one called Recuva, R-E-C-U-V-A.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So it turns out I just ran Recuva last night, and Recuva seems to have found, I'll cut right to the chase, Recuva seems to have found the files because we can actually see the date and the size, and I think we've identified it. But here's the maybe the bad news. I'm hoping you can help me. This is where I'm on the ledge. It now says that file that we think are the files that it found, those files now say unrecoverable. This file is overwritten with the Mini Tool recovery attempt to try to retrieve the files using that piece of software.
Exactly what I said.
Go ahead.
Exactly what I said. You got to be careful because anything that writes to that disk can damage it and make it unrecoverable. Once it's unrecoverable, once the space has been used, and recovery's telling you the space has been used, they're not recoverable. So I'm looking at this Mini Tool. I don't know why it would do that. That is not something normal. Although it worries me that it says it's specifically for Android. The Android file system is just a standard Linux file system. Yeah, I mean, if Recuva says it's overwritten, bye-bye. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You got it. The problem with, and that's weird that it says that the Mini Tool did that. I wouldn't expect Mini Tool to have done that. But that's the problem with file recovery. You got to be a little careful because anything you do that writes to that drive is going to delete stuff. So
it's funny because Mini Tool found older videos from like much early, things that we backed up quite months and months and months ago.
It's going to find everything that was ever on that SD card.
Right, and so for whatever reason, now I think what we ended up doing is so when it found the files, we were still in the software, and it found these files, and we couldn't see dates. We could only see Mini Tool only showed us the size of the files. So I'm looking at the biggest files, thinking those are going to be the videos.
Yeah.
And what we had to do is we couldn't even preview them in the software. We had to pull them out and hit a recover button. So that recover button put them in a different folder.
And moved them. So any good tool will not move it on the SD card. It will move it off the SD card to a local hard drive. That's why it's important that you put it in a computer. And I guess Minitool stupidly moved it to another spot on the same drive. That's what it sounds like.
And it doesn't overwrite based on like deleting earlier. In other words, overwriting the old files from months and months and months ago. It starts with the most recent.
I don't know what it starts with. It's probably not the most recent. It probably does it in order on the drive. But the point being, never recover to the disk you're recovering. So that's what this stupid program did. It's not your fault.
Well, the technician didn't seem to see a problem with that.
Well, that's why he's working at Best Buy.
It is Best Buy.
I know it's Best Buy. And that's why he's working there. So anybody who knows about file recovery will know that what the whole point is at this point, not to touch the disk you're recovering in any way, not to write it. If you could write lock it, you would, because anything you do to that disk, any writing you make to that disk is going to overwrite data, because those files are marked available. Those positions are marked available. So you never ever recover data onto the same drive. That's just that's
I got it now. So the fact
fundamental.
The fact that Recover can see the size and it can see that the file was there and it sees the date. It's showing me 542 megabytes. Whatever. It says unrecoverable. Is there any last chance to try to
probably not?
retrieve
I mean, it's saying it was overwritten by Minitool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So probably not. I mean, so overwriting it just means it's using that sector. Doesn't mean that things like the file size and the date aren't. So probably what's happening is Recover's seeing, there's usually two directories, one that's in use and a backup. It's probably seeing the backup directory. In any event, if Recover doesn't do it, I mean, there are other programs you could try, but it sounds like Recover's saying exactly what would happen if you were to try to recover files to the same drive. In the process of recovering those files, you overwrote the files that sounds like you wanted.
Is there a service that's out there that can dig deeper?
There's no deeper to dig. If you overwrite it, it's gone. There's no magic. Somebody's reminding me there's another tool you could try. I mean, you get a second opinion is all I can say, and that's pcinspector.de. And that also is designed specifically for memory cards. It's free as well, pcinspector.de. And see, I mean, basically, if Recover is correct, it'll give you the same answer, which is, I'm sorry, but while there were files there, they've now been overwritten. Once they're overwritten, there's no magic. We often talk about using Department of Defense grade erasing software that writes zeros and then erases them and writes ones and then erases them 3 times, 4 times, 24 times. No. Once it's overwritten, even the NSA can't recover it. I think it's gone. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Spent a little more time. It's sad talking with Mark in Michigan, whose mom had files on an SD card in her Samsung phone and accidentally erased the folder. And he, unfortunately, used a couple of different recovery tools. And one of the tools did the #1 classic thing you must not do in file recovery. And it's easy to understand if I explain that when you delete a file on any operating system, it doesn't actually scrub the data away unless you do a secure deletion. Apple, for instance, on the Mac OS has an option to secure delete files. And what a secure deletion will do is, well, let me start with what a normal deletion will do. In every case, Android, iOS, Mac OS, Windows, is it'll merely release that area of the drive and say, this can be used again. It doesn't actually erase the data. The data is all still there. Secure delete will then overwrite the data, and by doing so, make sure that no recovery tool can recover it. And therein lies a little hint about what not to do. When you're recovering hard drives using a tool like Recover, which is free, I also mentioned a told them about PC Inspector, pcinspector.de. That's made actually by a company that makes SD cards, so it's kind of designed for SD cards. Those tools will go out, look for files that have been released but not overwritten, and it'll say, oh yeah, there was a file here. The data is still here. In Windows, the way they release a file, they take the file name, they take the first letter of the file name, the first byte, and they turn it into an upside-down E. That's it. That's all they do, and then the file system says, oh, good, I can use this. It's the directory entries even there. It's just got an upside-down E as the first letter. So the file system says, oh, I can use that. I'm not sure what Android does or other operating systems, but it's effectively something like that. Just a little flag. Why? Because you want to make it fast. If you ever delete, a folder with 1,000 files in it, it's like that, isn't it? Well, that's because it's not overwriting them. It's just turning the first letter upside down all the way through. That's fast. That's easy. It takes seconds. But that's a good thing because it means the data is still there. But the cardinal rule in file recovery is you don't recover to the drive you're recovering, because then you're overwriting stuff. See, remember, the file system says, this drive's empty. I could put stuff anywhere. So if you're recovering a drive, if you've lost files or you've erased files on a drive by accident, generally, in a forensics environment where it's critical that data not be lost, let's say a bad guy has a folder. Inside that folder, all the banks I've robbed. And he says, oh, the cops are coming, and erases. The cops get the hard drive. First thing they do is make a byte-for-byte exact copy of that drive. And then they put the drive aside. They don't touch it. And they work on the copy. That way there's no chance they'll accidentally overwrite the data or damage it in any way. Then they can use their file recovery tools safely on the copy. So the key when you're trying to recover something, let's say from an SD card like that, is to not write to the SD card. That's why you don't do it in the phone. You take it out, you put it in an adapter, you put it in a computer, and when you do the recovery, you tell, and most recovery tools are smart enough to do this, you tell the recovery tool, don't recover to the drive I'm recovering. Recover to my internal hard drive, please. Don't touch that drive. That drive, lock it. Don't touch it, because that's where the data lies. So cardinal rule number 1 in file recovery, do not recover the data to the disk you're recovering from, because then you'll overwrite other data. And that's, I think, what happened. Once that happens, there's not much you can do. We talk a lot about, oh, the Department of Defense. Actually, my favorite is the British MI5 rules for secure data deletion. They take a hard drive that's got secret stuff on it. They do secure deletion, which means they don't just turn the first letter of the name upside down. They actually write ones across the whole drive, then erase it, then write zeros across the whole drive, then erase it. And they may do that 8, 9, 10, 20 times. Then they take the platters out of the drive, they grind them down into dust, they put them in a vault in the basement of the MI5 building, and they leave them there. That's secure. That's pretty secure. But I think, and I've looked at lots of people, once you overwrite data, you really can't get it back. You'd need some pretty specialized gear that was very sensitive that would be able to say, well, those are zeros, but there's a faint electronic, because it's magnetic, right? There's a faint little trace of magnetism that looks like it's an O. That must be the original. No one's ever seen this. And many security experts have tried to duplicate that, and I don't think anybody's ever succeeded. Which is bad news for your mom. I'm sorry, Mark. Another rule. Here's a cardinal rule number 2. Back up your data. And the easiest way on a smartphone, the automatic way, put a program on your computer that does that, on your phone that does that. I use Google's Photos. That's free. It'll back up unlimited video and pictures automatically, instantly to the Google Cloud where they're stored safely. Amazon, if you're a Prime member, they have the same program. Microsoft's OneDrive will do that. Dropbox will do that. If you want a belt and suspenders, have Dropbox and Google. Because you lose, phones get lost, SD cards stop working. It's not unusual. It can happen. Missing in our chat room, appropriately named, says, Mini-Tools does not by default write to the recovery drive. No recovery tool would. You'd have to by accident do that. Or if you're doing it in the phone, that could happen because the phone is confused about what the SD card is in internal memory. He's saying there's a program called Power Data Recovery that will only read from the drive and will not write to it at any time. But I think that it's easy to accidentally, supply a drive letter. So my suggestion is, be very careful when you're doing data recovery. Sorry, I can't give you better news than that. Bunny on the line from Land O'Lakes, Florida. Hello, Bunny.
Hello, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm so glad I got through to you.
Well, thank you. I am too.
My daughter has a new laptop that she's going to use for doing some engineering work. Now, she hates technology.
She's an engineer, but she hates technology?
That's correct. She loves all the kind of technology. Not now. She hates.
Is she a choo-choo engineer?
No, she's a civil engineer.
Okay.
But
she's going to be using computers a lot in her career, but okay.
She loves CAD.
Oh, okay. That's all right then.
Yeah. So her problem is to do with the PDF file, and she just got home. So I'm going to let her.
Oh, good. What's her name?
Her name is Chantel.
Okay, Bunny. Thank you. Hi, Chantel. Put Chantel on the line.
Hello.
Chantel, you're a civil engineer who hates technology.
Right. Yes. I like science, just not computers because they don't make any sense to me. But I like CAD and I like Excel. They're my friends.
Yeah, computer-aided design. You couldn't do your job with that, right?
Yeah, I get along very well.
Oh,
with,
good. So as with anybody who uses technology every day, it's a love-hate thing.
Yes.
Right? So what's the PDF problem you have?
So I downloaded so that I could, create the files as PDF. PDF Architect 5.
Okay.
And when I go to Plus, which is CAD speak for printing, it gives me options in various paper sizes, like A4 and A5 and so forth, but not the standard Architectural D, which is the 24-inch by 36-inch.
Okay. Hang on the line. I have to take a break. We got to push the sponsor button, but I will help you in just a second. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy, 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number, the website, techguylabs.com. So you need a different size paper. You need a different size paper, and you don't see that in the print dialogue.
Correct. Well, not in the when I go to, and I'm trying to real fast because I didn't know I was going to be talking to you right now.
That's all right. You're off the radio now. You're just talking to me, so you can relax.
Okay. All right. Yeah. When I go to the print box, I choose PDF Architect. It won't let me. And I'm actually trying to go through just so I can tell you specifically what I'm seeing. It might let me do a tabloid size. And oddly enough, it says tabloid and then in parentheses, U.S., as in this is something unusual. It's what they do over in the U.S.
Yeah, it must be a European program because A5, same thing. A5 is their version of 8.5 by 11 and all, or A4. So, so it's a European program. Although, and D is unusual. You don't normally see D in print dialogues anyway, but your printer can support it?
No, not my printer.
Oh, I see. As a PDF. I get what you're saying.
Yes. That way I can send it to somebody who does have a plotter.
That's an interesting question. So you're using a PDF driver that looks like printing, but it's not. It's printing to PDF, which I do all the time, especially if you don't have the right kind of printer, you don't have a plotter.
Yeah. So, it's called PDF Architect 5. I tried to do some research online to find a...
I wonder, that may be simply a limitation in that program. I'm not familiar with it. Did you already pay for it?
No, it was actually free, which is good. It had a paid version, but this one, all I really needed to do was print. I didn't need to do editing in PDFs and so forth. So this worked fine. It does offer an 11 by 17, a letter, legal, and then a lot of other things, A3, A4, A4 small, A5, B4, B5, Quarto, various envelope numbers, envelope letter designations, letters and numbers.
Do you see custom page size anywhere? Because that would be one way to do it.
That would be perfect.
You don't see that, though.
I do not see anything like that, though. No.
The way they do this is they sell capabilities.
That makes sense.
And it may be, I'm suspecting that maybe that capability, the custom size or even D5, is something you need to buy. So look. Here's one thing you could do.
Yes.
I'm not sure this will work, but so you're doing this inside the design software?
Right. Well, I downloaded the. I'm not sure quite what your question is, so I'm going to give you a long-winded answer and hope the answer's in there.
Well, I only have a minute, so don't make it too long-winded. You're running. Are you doing it inside a CAD program, or are you doing it somewhere else? What's the source of this document?
The CAD file is the source. Yes.
And I suppose you could always output it as a .ps or a .cad. Bring it to wherever you're going to print it.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I can save it as a .dwg file.
Right. But I understand if it's somebody who doesn't have that kind of software, the PDF would always work.
Right.
Interesting. I think it's got to be a limitation of PDF Forge, and it may be a module that you buy. I'm just looking on their forums. They are supposed to have a custom size item, PDF creator option, document properties, and then a custom size. But if you can't see it, that might be something to look at, is an additional setting that you have to buy, or use a different PDF creator. Now PDF, for instance, supports those sizes. Now PDF. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. So I've been talking to Chandel off the air, and I think the key is probably in this case that the PDF creator that you're using. This is actually a useful tool, by the way, something people should know about. You don't have to have a printer, and often when you're traveling or you just don't have a printer, you would like to print a document or at least send it to somebody in a way they can't modify it. Or let's say you've been using AutoCAD to design a bridge, and you want to send it somewhere to print, but they don't have AutoCAD. One way to do that is to use a special printer driver. Windows comes with one. Might try this built-in driver in Windows that lets you print to what's called a portable document format, or PDF. It's an Adobe file format that everybody uses. And the PDF is really almost like making a painting of it, at the correct size, the correct resolution. It can't be modified easily without the right kind of tools. You can even, password protect it, do all sorts of other things to keep it secure. That's why you'll often get, well, for instance, tax forms come as PDFs, and many documents are PDFs. It's a good format. So she's found a PDF creator that installs a print driver. Looks just like a printer to the program, but instead of printing it out to a physical machine, it prints it to a file, a PDF file. And she wants to print it in a form and a size that is appropriate for that drawing, which is an architectural size, D5. It doesn't have it. I'm thinking either that program doesn't know about D5 and knows about more of the standard sizes, or it's a special, because PDF Forge is free, but then there's modules you buy, and I suspect it's a module you buy. You should also look in the driver to see if you can do a custom size, because then you could make it the size exactly that you wanted. There are other choices. For instance, this is a clever workaround the chat room came up with. Thank you, Twisted Mister. You could pretend that you have that printer that you want to print it to. You don't, but you pretend you do. You install the driver for it, and you select the size and everything in the printer driver, but then you save to a file. That might work as well. I think there are better PDF programs. Somebody in the chat room says, I do these architectural size prints, D5 prints all the time with Now PDF, Bluebeam, Primo PDF. There are quite a few. And if you're using AutoCAD, that should have that built in where you print to a file, which you could then send somebody. And AutoCAD does offer a free reader You don't have to own the AutoCAD software to print it. To Salt Lake City we go. Dave, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Leo. How are you today?
I'm good. You got one of those Amazon shows. Aren't they cool?
They are great. I actually, before I get in trouble with the men's club here, I got it for my mother-in-law because I could get the 2-for-1 deal. You know. When
I did that for my mom. I did the same thing. You got 2 for 1. You got like $100 off. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I got it.
There's never anything wrong with getting along with your mother-in-law.
No, I guess not.
It's a good thing. Not always easy, but it's a good thing.
Yeah, so I can use my phone because I've got the gadget on my phone and call home and do call my show.
Right.
But we can't figure out how to call from my show to my mother-in-law's show.
Right. And you can do it. You can actually do the drop-in too, but she has to allow it. So the first thing you have to do is make sure that she's in your contact list and you're in her contact list on the show, so that it knows she has a show. And then you need to know the name of her show. So
I'm sorry, go back. Oh, in the contact list as a phone number?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's identified by her phone number uniquely. Obviously, it doesn't use that phone number.
Okay.
But that's how she's identified. Amazon has a pretty good setup on the Amazon site, about drop-in, how to use drop-in. And it is a little tricky. I use it with my mom, and it's really fantastic. She, of course, has to give permission. She can say, and there's several different levels. She probably should say, only people I know can drop in on me. It is. You can also do the call thing. But go into the I shouldn't say that word out loud. You know what I'm talking about, though. The Echo app on your phone. And there's a conversation icon, and if you tap Get Started, you. Oh, now mine woke up. Mine woke up. Shut up. Oh, she's going to talk for a while now. No, go away. Oh, please stop. Oh my God, I can't believe she's going to talk to me now. Oh, good, she stopped.
Ask her to tell you a Star Wars.
No. Wait a minute. I have to turn off my microphone for just a second so I could say the A word. Okay, I think I've stopped her. I have too many echoes in my.
It's great to meet you, Alexa. Right. Let's get to know one another.
Oh. Excuse me. I have to unplug something. I'm just going to go over here and I'm going to unplug this tool of the devil. All right. You won't be hearing from her again. I'm surprised she doesn't sing Daisy Jersey. So you do it by phone number. So you have to verify your phone number, and that's how. Even though you're not really making a phone call, I think that's often the disconnect on that. Is that she has to be in your contact list by phone number, and you have to be in hers, because that's a unique way to identify somebody, better than mom or mother-in-law or something like that.
Okay.
And but if you on the Amazon site, I would suggest I did it. You walk through the how to enable drop-in, and there's 2 different things. There's drop-in, and then there's the call feature. She may prefer call. She may not want you dropping in on her. Although with close family, I think it's really cool. I let my mom drop in, and because we have our show in the kitchen. We don't have it in the bedroom, obviously, but in the kitchen when we're cooking, and she'll drop in, and it's cool because I'll be making Mom's spaghetti sauce. I say, Mom, I'm making your sauce, and we'll talk while I'm doing it. And it's really kind of a neat thing. It has a camera. She can see me. I can see her. We have a screen on both. I think you're going to really like it.
Yeah.
Is she on your account, or does she have her own separate account?
You know what? I don't even think she has an account, and that might be part of the problem, too.
So when you get somebody an Echo, it associates it with an account. And if you buy it, it probably associated it with your account. So that may mean that and my mom ended up doing this because she said, I'm tired of seeing your calendar alerts and all the stuff for you. So I helped her, and you can do this. She'll need to put the Echo app on her phone, and it has to be on the same network as her Echo, and then you can walk her through deregistering and re-registering the Echo to her Amazon account. If she doesn't have an Amazon account, then you can use yours, but then it doesn't do it by phone. Then it's a little bit easier. It just does it by name because it thinks it's on your For instance,
Right.
mine here is associated with my account and the same account at home, so I can say to my Echo, I say, Echo, drop in on Kitchen Show, and it will just turn on the Kitchen Show, and I can see who's there. So that doesn't need a phone number.
But that has to be the same Wi-Fi network, right?
It does. No, I'm here at work on a different Wi-Fi network, but it has to be the same Echo account. You can also, Dr. Mom's reminded me, deregister her on your account. You can just go in there and say that's not my Echo. That's not my Echo. She should get an Echo account, I mean Amazon account probably, so that way she has her own thing, and then it's by phone number. Did I just confuse everything? Look at the manual. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Echo, shut up! Oh man, I can't. She was in some weird chat mode. She was doing something weird. That was hysterical.
I am so sorry. I feel like I broke your
You didn't do it. I did it. I said, because, you see, I broke my cardinal rule, which I said the A word. And the funny thing is I didn't just trigger millions of echoes across the country. I triggered my own. I finally had to unplug it. She just wouldn't shut up.
Well, thank you so much. I was so confused. I could never get it to work.
It's not easy, but the best thing to do is to go to Amazon. They have like a step-by-step walkthrough.
Well, I do blame you for me buying it too.
Well, good. I hope you get it working, because I think it's a really great way for close. You have to be close.
Yeah.
Amazon says it would be the same. You'd use drop-in with the same people that you would give them your house key, right? Because you're effectively letting them drop in.
Yeah.
Maybe your mother-in-law's
not
that close.
Working, yeah, I'll get my dad one, and then everybody will be happy.
It's so cool, yeah.
Yeah, it's so Jetsons.
It's very Jetsons. My mom loves it. She says this is the best gadget you ever gave me. She's crazy about it.
I love it. My daughter, though, I've got a 14-year-old daughter. She hates it.
Really?
Absolutely hates it.
What does she hate about it?
She thinks it's stupid.
Yeah, well, she's 14. She thinks everything Dad does is kind of dorky.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
I was having a conversation with my adult daughter about it because younger children are using these speech devices, and they're very rude. They yell at them and stuff. And there's some concern among psychologists that children will learn to be rude to humans because they treat these devices as servants, as slaves. And
yeah, my daughter does do that. I see that.
Yeah. I just yelled at mine. But we had this conversation because I think that this becomes a teaching moment where that kids now are growing up are going to have to learn that you treat machines and humans differently, and there are different rules and so forth. So they understand, because I think a lot of the theory being that a lot of really young kids don't know that that's a machine. They think these voice assistants are humans somewhere, hidden. And
well, that's a good point. I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah, they need to be kind of taught, no, that's a machine. And yeah, you can yell at it, but that doesn't mean you can yell at people. I think it would be a mistake to teach them to be polite to it. But maybe that's the answer.
I always say please to Siri.
I do too. We're polite, right? Because we grew up with humans.
Yeah.
John says we have to be polite because when they take over the world, they're going to hold it against us if we're not.
They have records.
Hey, it's good talking to you.
Hey,
thank you, Dave.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Take care. Bye-bye. Our show today brought to you by Videoblocks. Videoblocks. Videoblocks.com/techeye. It is a fabulous, very affordable service for giving you all the video, the clip art you need for your blog, your video productions, your podcast. Be brilliant on a budget. First, let me start by telling you what Videoblocks is, and then you can tell me how much you think it's worth. If you need high-quality stock video, HD videos, After Effects templates, motion backgrounds, for your blog, for your video productions, for your podcast, you can choose from 115,000 studio-quality HD videos. It's royalty-free. You can use it for commercial projects and for personal projects. And everything you get is yours to download and keep forever. And just really great stuff. Really great stuff. Now, normally you pay by the clip. A lot of these services, you pay a monthly fee. How about $149 a year? All you can eat. $149 a year. Video blocks from Storyblocks. Now, there's even more because they also have the fabulous Marketplace, which I really like because Marketplace allows creators to sell to you directly through the video blocks. The creators get 100% of the sale price, but you get a 40% discount as a member. So it all works out for everybody. And that's 5 million additional videos that are available direct from the artists. That's the Marketplace at Video Blocks. You're going to love it. Video Blocks from Storyblocks. What a great price. There's footage, there's backgrounds, there's After Effects templates, there's collections, there's sound effects, there's everything you need. Audio, videoblocks.com/techguy. And on price, it's kind of amazing. Hard to believe. $149 a year for unlimited use. We thank them so much for their support, and we use them all the time, too. Videoblocks.com/techguy. My mind is going. I can feel it. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That'd be a cool feature, wouldn't it? In the Amazon Echo when you unplug it. My mind is going. This is the show where we talk about technology and how it's changing the world, how you can use it to your advantage, how our kids are growing up in a new world. Website is techguylabs.com. We were talking about the Echo, the Amazon speech device. Of course, there's many of these now. In fact, they're about to take over the world, I think. Google has its Home. Google has announced the Google Home is the mid-size. They've announced the Google Home Mini, which looks like a little pink donut, fabric-colored. And then the Google Home Max, which looks like it's a speaker. It's like a stereo speaker. Later this year, next month, I guess, I don't know when, Apple will release its HomePod. Same idea, speaker, but it's got Siri, Apple's voice assistant, built into it. I have a device from Harman Kardon called in fact, I have it right here. It's not plugged in, but it's called the Invoke. This has Cortana built into it, Microsoft's speech assistant. You could have all of these. You could line them up on your mantelpiece, and you just have and each is, better at some things than others. Only Amazon's Echo can read to you if you have audiobooks from Audible, because that's an Amazon company. But only Cortana is really good at, modifying your Microsoft calendar and Outlook. I don't know what Siri's good at. Siri's good at, I'm sure, something. Google's very good at facts. But it raises an interesting question about kids who are growing up with these devices. There's a good article, actually it was a piece on National Public Radio, but I'll put an article link in the show notes at techguylabs.com so you could read it. Talking to psychologists about children and robots. They interviewed a psychologist at Cornell named Solace Shen. She studies how children interact with robots. She says, in this way, devices are great for kids. Kids are so curious, they can learn a lot of facts and information without parents having to bring out their phones or computers. So you imagine a 5-year-old, why is the sky blue? Instead of saying, why is the sky blue, Daddy? Although I think that would be good. Daddy's not around, I guess. They could say, why is the sky blue? And most of these devices will give you a somewhat coherent answer. However, psychologists are also a little worried, including Shen and a psychologist named Rachel Severson from University of Montana, about the relationship that children develop with intelligent technology. And I'm not sure I agree with their conclusion, so I'm curious what you think. These are tips to make sure that that these are a positive addition to your home. Number one, don't be a bossy pants. Severson says one of the big concerns, people tend to be impolite. You can yell and scream, I don't like that song, skip ahead, and the devices act the same as if you're polite. They don't, they're impervious. They do what you say. But Severson says young kids don't view these devices as adults do. They may attribute human characteristics, thinking that Echo has feelings and emotions. Some kids actually think young enough kids, I guess, there's actually a woman inside the device. That's exactly what one little boy, age 4, said about his Echo. She was a person who lived in an apartment outside his window, and he loved her. So don't be a bossy pants, or maybe you should somehow, I think this would be important, because kids are going to grow up in this environment. I mean, imagine a 4-year-old in the next 40 years, I think, is going to be surrounded by devices that you interact with, by machines that you talk to. And I guess we could teach kids to say please and thank you to machines. I don't know. Should they? Or maybe we need to teach them the clear distinction between machines and humans. Like, not, when this kid says, oh, that Echo, that's a woman living in an apartment outside my window, I say, no, honey, actually, that's a machine that can talk, but it's not a human. I'd be very worried about teaching kids to anthropomorphize. That's the word people, psychologists use to ascribe human characteristics, human-like characteristics to non-human things like animals. We do that all the time. I guess it's okay if, you talk baby talk to your parakeet, but should you be anthropomorphizing that black cylinder in your house that talks to you? I don't think so. I think it's a bad idea. I think to equip kids for their future, where there'll be more of this and more and more and more, probably be a good idea to, I'm not saying say it's okay to be rude. Although maybe it is. Maybe it's an outlet for a kid. That's something they can yell at. You have kids hit pillows if they're angry, right? Maybe yelling at your Echo is a good way to let off steam. And as long as the kid is very clear, understands that's a machine, just like the washing machine, just like your toaster. You shouldn't beat on it with a stick, but it's okay if you yell at it. Heck, I know there's people who yell at me all the time at the radio. It doesn't hurt me. I don't hear it. It doesn't hurt the radio. Maybe you let off a little steam. I don't know. What do you think? Should kids be taught to be polite to these voice assistants? Or should we be more practical and teach them that they're machines and you treat machines and humans differently? What do you think? And, oh, by the way, rule number 2, which I completely agree with, is join the conversation. Don't just watch your kids converse with the Echo or the Google Home, but participate. Parents need to be aware, says Shen, that Echo is a passive system. Kids can potentially jump from topic to topic. The system will just respond the same way. It'll never push back. And so it's a less complex interaction than with a human. Parents can help enrich the interaction by getting involved. You can ask the child questions about what they just learned, comment on how they're talking to the device, or make connections to things in real life that relate to the topic. See, I think part of the problem we have as adults, my parents had that problem when I was a kid. Their parents had a problem when they were kids, and on and on and on. But it's exaggerated because the world is moving so fast these days, is that the world we knew and understood as kids is different from the world our kids are living in. And there are 2 ways to go, right? You could say, hey, kids, let's make it like it used to be. Let's forget watching Seinfeld on TV. Let's sit around the radio. No, you have to introduce them to the world they're going to live in. You don't teach children to use IBM Selectric typewriters. That's silly. But I think we want to, because that's what the world we grew up in. We understand we want our kids to have the same wonderful childhood we had. But they're in a different world. It's kind of what we were talking about last hour. The world has changed, and I think probably the best thing you can do is equip your kids for the world they'll be living in, not for the world that we lived in. What do you think? 8888 asks Leo. I yell at the Echo. Is that a bad role? Would I be a bad role model? I think the best thing to do is, now Timmy, that don't yell at your doggy. Lassie's a sweet thing, and she detects your emotion, right? She knows when you yell at her. You don't want to yell at her, but it's okay to yell at a machine because they can't detect emotion. They're just mechanical. They're computers. Best thing we could do, I think, is for our kids to understand how computers work, how machines work, that what appears to be intelligence is just a fancy trick. Did you see on Fallon the other night on the Tonight Show? They brought on a robot that had expressions, and it was sassy, and it made jokes. Don't be fooled by that, by the way. All the jokes, all the things it says are canned, pre-built-in responses. The thing that's interesting, though, is that it can raise its eyebrow and smile appropriately. It's really a parlor trick, not real artificial intelligence, but it's not far off. 20, 30 years, within the lifetime of that 4-year-old, for sure. They'll be dealing with machines that appear to be human. I don't think they need to think of them as humans. Let's not anthropomorphize machines. I think that's always a mistake. Let's teach our kids to make the distinction. But I'll put a link to that on our website, techguylabs.com. That's free, open, available to all. techguylabs.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo, the phone number. Going to line 4, and that's Dennis in Houston, Texas. Hi, Dennis.
Hey, Leo. It's only taken me 10 years to call in, but I'm glad I finally able to get a chance to catch up. I've watched you now for about 2 months straight to catch up on what I missed.
Thank you so much. It's great to talk to you. And you're okay in Houston?
Yeah. No, I'm a little bit outside of a city called Sugarland, so it's not quite in the city, but yeah, we survived. Good. And we missed the storm there. I've heard you talk about some of this stuff, and I thought, who better than you to ask? But I work with a lot of startup groups, and SEO is always a big contender. And I get proposals all the time where people want us to drop $30,000 on SEO enhancements and stuff like that. There's a big group of apps and different things online and WordPress plugins and so on and so forth that a lot of people use. And I'm always told, there's certain ones that people suggest and certain ones to avoid and so on and so forth. But just from a natural perspective, maybe for an organic or, relatively new people getting involved with this, is there a roadmap that you suggest going down, or maybe like a program that you suggest that may be better than some of the
don't spend any money would be suggestion number 1. There's a lot of snake oil sold in this. It's called SEO, search engine optimization. If you have a website, if you have a business with a website, of course you want to show up high on Google's rankings. And there are plenty of people out there, this is what you would walk away from, who promise we can get you #1 search ranking on Google with a few easy steps, just give us $10,000. Walk away. There are real things you can do, but frankly, they're not particularly secret or magical, and most of them you can do yourself. Now, there are advantages to hiring, a sophisticated SEO person might do all sorts of, and it's expensive, testing with users to look at your page to see where they look. They call it heat mapping. You can tell, what things people look at, where to put your menu bar, stuff like that. But frankly, that's more usability. Frankly, to get to a high ranking in Google, which is what true SEO is all about, you get everything you need from a site Google runs for free called Google Webmasters. It's the Webmaster Tools. And there is I would at least start here because this is free. It gives you all sorts of information. For instance, one of the things Google says is, you use the word organic. That's a good word. They said the best way to get high rankings on the web is to make great content and keep it fresh. But there are a few other mechanical things like making a sitemap that you should do. WordPress does that automatically, but there are certain you'll see people say, oh, what you have to do is put meta tags. This used to be a big thing. Meta tags on your page. These are things that are not seen on the page, but the Google bot will see. The problem with that is Google doesn't want you to game Google. Google wants to rank highly pages with great content. So as soon as people started gaming meta tags, Google started ignoring them. Google's total goal, and Google is constantly adjusting their algorithm, is to get pages with good content highly ranked. That's their goal, not the pages that have the best secret meta tags. So you always run a risk if you play too many games with the Google algorithm that Google will block you. They'll see you as gaming it. The worst thing, they can punish you by taking you out of the search entirely. So I'm always very careful about what you would do for SEO, and I think Google's main advice, which is just create good content and keep it updated, is good. I would add a few things. For instance, and Google's Webmaster Tools will tell you this: the title of your page should indicate what you do clearly, because that's one of the things that Google looks at It's a strong signal, they call it. And it's one of the things that'll show up in the search results. The first 1,500 characters of a page are important. Google doesn't scan too deep into the page. There are lots of tricks, but all of these they're not secrets. Google tells you what to do. Of course, the way Google works fundamentally is called PageRank, after Larry Page. And it can be expressed in a single sentence, although it's constantly refined and adjusted. But the way to get a high ranking is to have other pages with high rankings link to your page. So having other sites linked to you is also a good idea. But there's a risk there, too, because people used to pay for link farms. They used to pay for links. And as soon as Google catches you doing that, boom. They wield a pretty big hammer. So my suggestion is to stick with the stuff Google says to do. Be very wary of anybody that promises too much, especially if there's a bill attached. I would guess that most of what you want to do, you can do yourself. Now, I do know that I've talked to people who have search consultants come in and they'll rearrange your page. They'll do some mechanical things to your content that they say helps with Google, and they swear it helps, and it's possible. But I'd hate to see you spend a lot of money on snake oil, and worse, I'd hate to see you get blocked by Google. That really would be exactly the wrong result. Start at the Webmaster Tools.
Yep, I certainly appreciate it, Leo. We certainly will.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, we tried Google Tag Manager and some other stuff for other reasons, so I was aware of it, but very good information. I appreciate it.
Google.com/webmasters. My friend Matt Cutts used to do those great videos there. He left. He went to work for the government, and he's doing some really great work with the VA and other websites, making them better. And now my friend Danny Sullivan, who used to run Search Engine Land, took Matt's job. And so Danny Sullivan is the outreach guy at Google to help people. And he's an expert on search. So they've got good people there helping people make websites that rank well on Google. They want to help you. They want yours. If you've got a good quality site, they want it to rank high. That's in their interests too. Remember, they want their search engine to give people the results they want. That's the whole game. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I'm glad you found me. Keep listening.
Yeah, thank you, Leo.
My pleasure, Dennis. Thank you. Take care. There's always somebody out there who'll sell you some snake oil. We learn to be suspicious, though, don't we? Hey, coming up in just a bit, he's back from his trip. Chris Marquardt, our photo guy. He's wearing a funny hat. I don't know what he's up to. He's gonna talk digital photography in just a bit. He was in Bhutan, right? I think he was up in the mountains up there, and I've been watching his pictures. Amazing photographs. We'll talk digital photography in just a little bit. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. We'll keep taking calls, of course. And don't forget the website. It's a great resource. I'll put links there to the Google Webmaster Tools. But you can also, then one of the things that I like about the website is a chance for you to yell at the radio, in effect. Go to techguylabs.com. It's free. There's no sign up. You can just use it. We don't take your email address or anything. And it's, by the way, divided into shows. This is episode 1439, an ongoing series. So you can go to any individual show. Each show is divided up into hours, 1, 2, or 3. And each hour is divided up into calls and answers and segments and so forth with all the links and kind of a synopsis of what we talked about. But afterwards, you can also watch the audio and the video, put audio and video from the show up there. And every question, every segment has a comment section, and we do make you log in with Twitter or Google or Facebook just so that, spammers don't just kind of fill it up with junk. And that's where you can yell at me or say, hey, well, I use an SEO and they did that. If you have an opinion on SEO, if you are an SEO, that's the place to do it. techguylabs.com. More calls right after this. And Chris Marquardt. Are we on Skype? What is that hat? Is that a Bhutan?
That is a traditional Nepali hat.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. Did you have fun?
I like it.
I bet you did have fun.
Oh, it was amazing. It was great.
Pictures I can put up on my screen here?
Yes, I do have pictures for you. Go to tfttf.com/B2017. B2017.
Got it. Oh, man. How many people do you take on those?
This time we were a group of 13 in total with myself and another one being the guides. So not the guides, the photographic leaders. We had local guides there in Bhutan.
Nice. Oh, nice.
It was good. It was really good. It was amazingly good.
It's not your first time, though. I mean, you've done this before.
Second time I was there for the first. And that's actually what I want to talk to you about on the show today. A bit about Bhutan, a bit about the photography there.
Good. And the pre-records worked out well, by the way. Thank you.
That is cool.
That worked out very well. Now I can't. Went into the full screen mode. Now I can't get out.
Okay, this viewer zooms the picture slightly up when you take the mouse out of the window. So when you leave the web browser with the mouse, and then you can just use the arrow keys.
Oh, I can? That's what I want. Yeah.
You should be able to.
I'm on Linux. It is Chrome, though. I mean, it's not like it's some.
But it should take the arrow keys. There's no reason it shouldn't.
You know how Linux is. You know.
And in this segment now we'll kind of conclude the travel segments we did during the pre-recordings.
Good. Oh, look at those monkeys. What kind of monkeys are those?
That's a very good question. Those are in Kathmandu at the Monkey Temple.
Oh, that's neat.
It was this time, especially in the fall. It's like hundreds of monkeys there. You got to be careful if you should. I've had one actually try to grab my phone when I took a photo of it.
Sure, because they want.
And then they run away, and then the only way for you to get back your phone is by bribing them with food.
Oh my God, they know. They're trained.
Lots of cool stuff. That's the Bhutanese dry their chilies, which they love to eat. Hot chilies. They dry them up on the roofs. You see lots of roofs with chili on them.
That's cool. That's really cool. I take it the monkeys don't eat the chilies.
The monkeys are not in Bhutan, at least not that many. It's kind of a mixture. The pictures are parts from Kathmandu, parts from Bhutan. Just some beautiful light.
Alas, poor Yorick. I knew him, Horatio. Wow, that's a big Buddha.
It's a big Buddha and a small monk in front of it.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. That's
the world's tallest sitting Buddha.
Really? Wow.
That's in Bhutan.
He's carving that?
Yep. Art school. They love their little statues of Buddhas and of different depictions of the history.
That's neat.
And the story of Buddha.
Yeah, that's really neat.
So it takes them about 3 months to make one of these statues.
Wow. Really gorgeous. Oh, Buddha kitty.
Gotta put a cat in there somewhere. Absolutely necessary.
Absolutely.
Bamboo, scaffoldings, thousands of monks at a ceremony.
Wow. Are they chanting?
No, they were listening to their chief monk praying because it's his goodbye or something. He will be replaced by another one. So they were having these celebrations for 3 months.
Wow. Our photo guy is here, Chris Marquardt, back from Bhutan, which is in the Himalayas.
Yep, pretty much. Bhutan is situated between China and India. So, and then on the other side, there is Sikkim, which is part of India. And then on that side, after Sikkim, is Nepal. So I started coming in through Nepal, had a stopover in Kathmandu for a couple of days, and then flew over, met part of the group, and then flew over to Bhutan, to Paro in Bhutan. And we started the tour, which was almost 14 days. So it was a pretty long tour this time.
This was a photo workshop, so there were photographers with you, and I imagine I'm looking at your pictures, which people can see. We'll put a link in the show notes at techguylabs.com to tfttf.com/B2017. That's the slideshow of your best photos from the trip. Really beautiful stuff.
Yeah.
Really gorgeous.
And again, I was there 2 years ago, which was about a month after that earthquake in Nepal.
Oh, that's right.
And that was almost like we didn't plan to go to Bhutan, but we had to reroute part of the tour because of that earthquake. And that's how I got to Bhutan first. And that's when I decided I have to come back. This was the year we did that. And it's definitely not the last time I've been there. It was a really amazing country. Beautiful country. Great people there. The people are just some of the most happy, open people that I've met. Great culture. Landscape amazing. They have hardly any tourism there. We're talking less than 60,000 Western tourists a year.
Oh wow!
So it's almost nothing. The whole country, it comes from Buddhism, so this is pretty much everywhere in the culture.
They say their gross national product is happiness.
The gross national happiness, yes, and they have free healthcare, free education. People get a house and some land, so they can live. They can like plant their own stuff there. Not much traffic.
Now, when you go on a photo workshop, I know you're taking people who are learning, and you're the teacher. But do you learn? I mean, are you still learning as you take pictures?
Of course, every single time. Every time I go there, I'm looking for a few different things, and every time I learn something new. First of all, there's lots of unusual stuff that we don't have here, so you have to always think, how do I photograph that? The picture you just showed, someone drying turnip leaves in their home.
You don't see that in the States, no. And,
you don't see that anywhere here as well.
Yeah.
So they hang them off the ceiling, and all of a sudden you have something that looks so unusual that you have to come up with a way to take a picture of this. You can't fall back on things that you already know.
I like that. I like that because it forces you to use your eye and think and freshly, which is great.
Yes. The contrasts are amazing. You have, for example, we were at the world's largest sitting Buddha statue, which is, I think, 170 feet high. And there's festivities. There are thousands of monks there. And then I try to find a contrast there between the big sitting Buddha, and I found one which is a regular-sized Buddhist monk sitting in front of that Buddha, and so you have the size comparison. Or an interesting, unusual thing is the Bhutanese love their chilies. They eat chilies for every meal, and they dry them up on roofs. They have corrugated steel roofs, and they dry the chilies up there. And red chilies on a green roof. Hey, beautiful. Amazing color contrast. You have to take that picture.
Yeah.
Another one, we visited a monastery, and the Buddhist monks, of course, they have smartphones. So you get photos of these very traditional monks being on a smartphone, or their soccer shoes, because they love soccer as well. It's a lot of different things that I look for, but contrasts are really interesting, especially cultural contrasts. Of course, I look for light. In the mountains, you have some just amazing light that is different from what we see here, with lights coming through the clouds, with streaks of lights hitting the sides of mountains. In the mountains, you always have these layers of depth. You know, the further away you go, the less contrast something has. So you'll see these different mountains kind of overlapping into the distance, which, again, I don't get that a lot here. Morning fog, another thing. As we are out with a group, it is easier to get up early in the morning. I'm not a morning person, but the moment I'm out there with a group, of course, I'll make time to do that in order to get the right light in the morning. And
I noticed that too. When I don't like to get up before dawn, but when you're with photographers, you do. You do.
You kind of have to, and then you're glad you did, right?
Yeah. Oh, I love this. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Bhutan is also one of the best places for people photography because they are really so friendly and open. They are not, as there are not that many tourists, they are just very open, very friendly. They invite you in. We had a lot of encounters with people saying, yeah, sure. Here's our living room. Come in. Group of 10 people walking into their living room. Just imagine that back home. I mean, someone ringing your doorbell and saying, hey, we're from Bhutan. We're 10 people. Can we come in?
Wow. Yeah.
A very different story, you know.
Really, really lovely photos.
We did some hiking too.
Yeah?
Some hiking where you kind of have to make sure to have your gear down and not carry too much stuff with it. The two things photographically that I think hold true and that worked really well for me there are first, know your gear. I took only cameras and stuff that I knew, lenses and cameras that I
you talked about that last time.
Yeah, that I like to work with. I didn't take any protective filters, no camera protection. And the second is know your workflow. I'm done with my photos. I returned a couple of days ago, and I don't have to do any work on the photos anymore. It's all done, all finished, because every evening I sat down and worked through my photos.
I hate you. I hate you. I am still working on my photos from my trip to the Galapagos in the spring. I mean, it takes, but that's the discipline to do it every night, isn't it?
Well, I mean, okay, if you do 5 or 6 of these a year, you kind of have to develop some discipline.
Yeah, because otherwise you just have your hard drives full of stuff. And every once in a while, I go through photos and go, oh, that's a good one. I posted a photo on my blog from last year's Veterans Day, Armistice Day parade. I had never posted because it took me a year. So,
and I go back to some of the old pictures and I revisit them. And sometimes I go back to my 1 or 2 star pictures and I go, why is that only 1 star? That could easily be 4 or 5. So it happens. If you're too close to your photos time-wise, then sometimes you just don't see what's in them.
I'm going to give a plug to your really useful free course on what is it, 1,000 shots in an hour or what?
1 hour 1000pics.com.
The number 1 hour, the number 1000 pics.com.
Exactly.
Is the workflow that you use. It's a Lightroom workflow, but really the idea would work with any photo.
It works
editor.
with pretty much any software.
Yeah. It's a lifesaver when I do it. I just have to have the discipline every day. You're right. You can't do it at the end of the trip because it's overwhelming. You do it every night. Well, you put your feet up and soak them.
20 minutes a night. This doesn't take much more.
Yeah. Chris Marquardt is at discoverthetopfloor.com. Don't forget his discoverlightroom.com, his Lightroom course. That's up to date and fabulous. And, of course, we'll put a link in the show notes at techguylabs.com to that and to these great pictures from Bhutan. Welcome home, Chris. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Didn't ask you one question about the gear. I presume all 5D Mark IV?
The same gear I've been taking a couple of months now.
Yeah.
Just the 5D Mark IV and the 7D Mark II.
Oh, you use a 7D as well. What do you use the 7D for?
Well, it's a crop camera, so it works better with longer lenses, which means I'll get an extra, extra bit of
60% or something. Yeah.
Those are the 2 cameras. The 5D Mark IV now always has almost always has my my 24mm tilt shift lens on it.
Yeah,
it's just the one I can't live without. And then the other one, the 7D, either a longer like a 70-300, or if I'm just in the city and I just need some prime lens. It's usually the 24 STM, which acts like a 40mm lens. And it's a tiny pancake lens, and it's just amazing.
Nice.
The image quality is great.
I'm looking at these. I can't tell which is which. You don't really notice a difference in quality. No.
The camera doesn't. It's not about the camera.
Yeah.
The camera will give you a bit of a technical advantage, but not really that much.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Evening light.
Yeah. Really beautiful stuff. Oh, I love that too. Wow.
Simplicity. Simplicity. And the photos, what works best is the photos that don't have a lot of stuff in them.
Very clear. Yeah.
No distractions.
Yep. That was a valuable lesson. Simplify.
Go get closer. Yeah. With many of those, it's just get closer.
Oh, I love these though.
Oh, we had the chance to be inside a ceremony in a Buddhist temple. In a Buddhist monastery, and they were chanting and having incense in the air, and the light came.
They didn't mind the audio because those cameras click.
Oh, we asked them. They gave us the okay, and it was like we did a little donation.
Nice.
And they were very open, very like friendly. Come sit here. Why don't you?
Neat.
Why don't you come around here? You might see something better from this side. Yeah.
I love these. Now, are these boys like monks in training?
Yeah, well, they are monks. Some of these monks. I think we were in a monastery with young monks. Youngest one 8 years, oldest one 24 in that one.
Wow.
And but sometimes the kids don't decide themselves. Sometimes it's the parents who can't feed them, and then send them to a monastery because they're being taken care of there. And then you don't have to be a monk for entire year for the entire life. I know a few people, lay people, who have been monks for 10 years and then decided to not continue that. So you're not like locked in.
Right. Really neat. I want to go. You just make me want to go. It's so beautiful.
2019, October.
Okay, deal.
Put it in your calendar.
October 2019. I'm going to write that down. Lisa
Well,
and I.
we're working on that right now, but it's that's what I'm working towards.
Good. We're open for 2019. 2 years from now. Thanks, Chris. Have a great day.
All right. Till next week.
Bye-bye. Eero Laporte, the tech guy. Back to your calls. And Fred's on the line from Anchorage, Alaska. Hi, Fred.
How you doing, Leo?
I'm well. How are you?
Well, pretty good. I was screaming kind of in my mind about Apple, but here's
Scream
my problem.
in your mind out loud.
Well, first off, to your topic earlier about children in technology, I think you should teach them about their tools.
Yes.
And, I remember as a child, my dad taught me about tools, and you don't abuse your tools because your tools are working for you.
Good point.
You're not abusive to your tools, whether it's a hammer or a saw or whatever.
Yeah, but if the hammer hits you in the thumb, you might yell a little bit.
A little bit, but maybe you shouldn't be yelling at the hammer. Maybe it was your bad aim.
Maybe it was you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I think, there's almost an animist point of view that everything is alive, and it's better in life to be kind to everything. What I don't want people to do, and it's very easy with artificial intelligence, machine learning, speech assistance, is to this word anthropomorphize, to ascribe human characteristics because they seem so human, but they really aren't.
And we do that with animals too.
We do. And you can argue, well, an animal does hear your emotions, hears your voice. You can argue that it's sensate, but I think we often make a big mistake. And we do it all the time unconsciously, ascribing intelligence to what is essentially a box of rocks, just very fast rocks. So it's important if you use computers not to start thinking that the computer's out to get you or in any way doing what we do as humans, thinking. It doesn't have feelings or emotions.
Or has any intent.
Yeah, very good. Doesn't have intent, because there's a lot of fuzzy thinking. For instance, I'll give you a really good example. People complain that Google reads their mail. And, of course, the computers at Google do scan through the bit stream that is your mail looking for patterns. But it isn't the same as somebody reading your mail. Even the word read is a little misleading. But people treat it as if there's somebody sitting in Google looking at what you write and making judgments. And it isn't like that at all. So
that would be good for full employment for the country.
Yeah, it would take a lot of people to do it.
A lot of people to actually read all those emails.
Yeah. So if you say instead of read, it's pattern matching on the bit stream coming across the server, that might not be as upsetting to people.
And some of what it does is useful. I mean, if I'm shopping online for a certain type of pair of pants, and all of a sudden I'm getting all these ads popping up, well, that actually helps me to, there's this other company out there that has something similar that I didn't even know about. So it's all... And
you can opt out of that custom advertising, but Google's going to scan your mail for other things like malware and spam, and you wouldn't argue that, well, I don't want Google blocking spam. You very much do want Google blocking spam.
You do want it, yeah. So again, I look at technology as a tool. It's a very advanced tool. but it's to serve me.
Yes.
But I don't abuse my tools.
That's a very good point. I don't mind that at all. I like that. I'd be kind in general, right? But don't ascribe human motives, emotions, feelings to machines, to the tool. Your hammer's not trying to get you.
Yeah, that's right. So hey, here's my problem though, is I have an iPhone 6. It updated to the new operating system 11.
Yep.
And what I didn't know is that one of my apps that I had called My Folder, in which I stored all my passwords, was no longer going to be supported in 11. And now when I try to access the app, it says this app is not supported. And
now, Fred, we helped you do this, right? I know who you are. You don't think you're fooling me, do you? Because
I know who you think I am. The caller, Leo.
There's more to this story than that, because we help. Now I don't know if this is the same Anchorage Fred that I talked to, but we had a caller. It's a different one, because we had a caller from Anchorage who was using a different program called Journals. Same thing though. And I guess probably this isn't too much of a coincidence or a surprise, because one of the things that happened with iOS 11 is Apple discontinued support for 32-bit apps. You have to be 64-bit, and that meant a lot of older apps just stopped working. And the problem with My Folders or with the Journals program that we were talking about with the other guy, maybe his name wasn't Fred, the other guy from Alaska, is that the reason they stop working often is just the developer hasn't touched them in months or years or many, many years, right? It's an old program and they just haven't updated it. So Apple last update, iOS 10, started warning you, and maybe you saw some of those warnings, this program may slow down your iPhone. That really wasn't accurate. I wish Apple had been...
That's what I got. I got exactly that warning.
Yeah, I wish Apple had been a little more clear.
Yeah.
They just, this is very typical of Apple. They shielded you from the technical details that might have helped you. Had they said, this program is out of date and will not operate with iOS 11, look for a replacement or back up your data, that would have been much more useful, wouldn't it?
It would have. That's definitely true. So I've talked to Apple. I spent about 2.5 hours on the phone with them yesterday.
Wow.
And they said that there was no way they could revert my phone back to an earlier operating system.
What happens is they stop signing them, and your phone, for good security reasons, has to install signed software. And Apple, because I don't know why, but they do this. They take the signing off, and now you can't go backwards. So what you have to do is find the developer and say, is there a solution?
Okay.
Good luck.
I'll track that down.
Good luck.
Yeah, I know.
What's it called? What's the name of it exactly?
Is it? I remember most of the passwords, or I figured them out.
Yeah.
I've done that.
What's the name of the program exactly? Do you remember?
I think it was called either My Folder or My Secret Folder.
By Red Knight Interactive, My Secret Folder. That's what it sounds like. So the trick on this is going to be, they haven't updated it since 2015.
Yeah.
So it's, that's what happened is it's a 32-bit app. So what I would suggest is see if you can track down Red Knight Interactive, the creators of this.
What's the name of the company again?
Red Knight, like the Red Queen in chess, the Red Knight. And if you can track them down, say, now, do you know where it was backing that data up? Was it backing it up? For instance, the other program was backing up to Dropbox, which was helpful because Dropbox still works. Do you know?
I was just backing up my phone to iTunes.
And it was in a format probably encrypted that iTunes. So you have the data, but it's scrambled.
Yep. So my other question going forward, though, is what's a good app to store your passwords in going forward that is currently supported? Is there any suggestions for that?
Yeah. The one I use, actually I have several, but I'll tell you the one I use, which is called LastPass. $2 a month, LastPass. It's specifically for passwords. It'll help you generate passwords. It does security checks to make sure your passwords are secure. It remembers them and encrypts them strong encryption so that no one, even the folks at LastPass, can get your passwords. You only have to remember the one password to unlock it. It does support two-factor authentication, which I strongly recommend. That way, even if a bad guy got your password, he'd also have to get your phone and the authenticator to unlock it. That really raises the barrier. LastPass. There are other similar programs that are very popular. 1Password, the number 1 password, and Dashlane, DASHLANE, are all three good iOS password managers. They also work on Mac, Windows, and Android. So that's one of the advantages. If you just use LastPass on one phone, it's free. But I pay for it for 2 reasons. One, I don't want them to go away like my secret folders.
Yeah.
You know, I don't mind paying for an app that I use because I want them to stay in business. And the other reason is because I use it on all the devices I use. And so 1Password store can be used everywhere. It's stored on LastPass's servers, but it's encrypted so they can't get it. I really like LastPass.
Well, the last thing is I'm about to bite the bullet and order my iPhone 10.
You're going to love it.
I know. It's just now it's just a waiting game for it to
Although, since you're in Alaska, you might want to wait till they fix that problem where it's unresponsive in cold weather.
Yeah, it's only 16 degrees up here right now.
Oh, it'll be fine then. It's spring. Hey, it's great to talk to you, Fred. I think you're going to love the iPhone 10. It's the best iPhone Apple's ever made. I am not, as you know, an Apple fanboy, but it's hard not to love it. It's hard not to love it. It's really, really well done.
Well, my son just got the Pixel 2, and he's pretty happy with that.
That's a good one, too. My 2 comes tomorrow. My 2 XL comes tomorrow. And
oh, wow. Okay.
I know. Well, it's part of the problem with doing this job is I have to have multiple phones. And even though I love this iPhone, I don't want to stop using it. I guess come Monday, I'll be trying another one. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. This would be a good time to talk about the Eero and why I like the Eero. They're our sponsor, of course, and I love our Eeros at home. Eero is for somebody, this was me, with a lot of devices. If I look at my Eero app, I have 39 devices connected to my Wi-Fi. I use it for everything. My Netflix, my laptops, my phones, it's all connected to my Wi-Fi network. And frankly, it wasn't, we were having problems. The thing you don't ever want to hear, honey, the Wi-Fi's down, but then I got the Eero. The Eero is a mesh system. So this is the Eero interface I'm looking at right here. You see, I have the main Eero in the den. That's where our router comes in, you know, the cable modem. And then I have 2 beacons, one in the bedroom hallway, one in the gym hallway. They have little lights, by the way. The beacons are great because they just plug right in. This is the new 2nd generation Eero. They started in 2016. I had the 1st generation. When the 2nd generation came out, I gave my mom the 1st generation. She loves it. In fact, what's great about the Eero, the software is fantastic. I can actually go see my mom's network. If she calls and says, hey, there's something going on, I say, well, let's see, Mom. Look, it's all good, all green, kitchen, living room, dining room, 18 megabits. This is Mom's network in Rhode Island, 3,000 miles away. Eero does so many cool things. For instance, you know, the base thing it does is it makes Wi-Fi work. No more buffering, no more slowdowns. The new 2nd generation Eero is tri-band, so you can do an even better job. You've got twice as fast performance. And in every room of the house, about 1,500 square foot per unit. So if you want to get more, like maybe you've got an upstairs or you want to go out to the backyard, you just add another beacon, plug it into the wall. Tri-band 5G. You can look at all your devices, by the way, and see how they're connected. You see, and I haven't named this device, but it's Amazon Android. I don't know what this device is, but I could figure it out. I could see its current activity. It's uploading. It's on the 2.4 gigahertz. I can even see more about the connection, which is fantastic. And I can name it, and even more importantly, I can assign it. I love this. Let's look at the family profile. So here I am. Here's my wife. Here's our son. Michael's stuff I have on a schedule. At bedtime, the internet turns off. I can even say to the Echo, if Michael's being bad, pause Michael's Wi-Fi. And it pauses it. I've assigned the devices all his devices. So the Wi-Fi goes off at 10 p.m., so he has to go to bed. But I also have filtering on Michael's Wi-Fi, which is fantastic. The safe filters, and you could turn these on and off per device. Safe search, adult content. Oops, let's keep that turned on. Illegal or criminal. All of the stuff is, in fact, I got an email from Eero every week saying, here's the malware we filtered out. You've got great guest access. There's a thread radio now, which is fantastic, so you can connect to low-power devices like locks and doorbells and other sensors. Easy to expand, just add another beacon. I love it. Free overnight shipping to the U.S. and Canada right now when you go to eero.com and select overnight shipping at checkout, then enter Tech Guy as the offer code, and I'll make it free. Great gift, by the way, for loved ones with Wi-Fi issues. eero.com. Don't forget to use the offer code Tech Guy so they know you heard it here. I love my Eeros. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy, Hour 3 of the Tech Guy Show, in which we talk about computers, the internet, and smartphones, and, you know, talking assistants, artificial intelligence, augmented reality, all those technologies that are creeping up on us, changing the world we live in for the good or the ill. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number, 888-827-5536, toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Get ready, because the debate is now going to resume between the FBI, the Department of Justice, and Apple Computer over smartphone encryption. It turns out that the bad guy, the shooter in Texas, had an iPhone. We now know it was an iPhone. He used the iPhone after the event to call his father, according to police. There may be other information on there, perhaps information about people who helped him. That iPhone is a treasure trove, and it's encrypted. It's locked, as all iPhones are, as all modern smartphones are. And the Department of Justice is pretty miffed. Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein said that iPhone encryption costs lives. Those are strong words. Now, I'm sure that the phone has been shipped back to the FBI. I'm sure that they're trying to break it. Remember, the last time this came up was with the San Bernardino attack, and the bad guy there had a smartphone, an iPhone. The FBI could not unlock. They ordered Apple to help them unlock it. Apple refused. The battle raged in court until the FBI dropped their lawsuit, saying, never mind, we paid $1 million, and we something like that. We think it was around $1 million, and we've got somebody to unlock it. We think it was an Israeli security firm that had a back door into that older iPhone. Now, very little's known about this new phone. I'd heard that it is an iPhone, but the police have not said yet it's an iPhone. It doesn't really matter, because almost all phones are encrypted in a way that law enforcement can't look at it. And of course, any right-thinking person would, want law enforcement to be able to do their job, but not. And this is the key, and I don't think it's widely understood. Certainly, Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein does not understand this. He said, no reasonable person questions our right to access the phone, but the company that built it claims that it purposely designed the operating system so that the company cannot open the phone even with an order from a federal judge. And in addition to costing a great deal of time and money, the delay surely costs lives. Okay, won't dispute that, but it's important to understand a couple of things. First of all, these are new devices. How did law enforcement work before there were smartphones? There are other sources of information. The smartphone, your smartphone, contains everything about your life. And I think probably deserves a somewhat protected status. But even that, you can debate. Even that. What you can't debate is the technical issue of how do you do it? How do you provide law enforcement with entry with a back door without compromising all of our security, giving bad guys access to our smartphones as well as law enforcement? And therein is the problem. The encryption on your smartphone protects everybody, bad guys and you, and good guys. That's the nature of encryption. If you crack encryption, if you put a back door in so law enforcement can look at what's on bad guys' phones with a warrant, of course, reasonable warrant, judge approves it. The problem is that back door can then be misused. And we've seen, it's not far-fetched. We've seen NSA secure, hacking tools leaked out of late. In fact, that big Petya ransomware epidemic that's spread across the nation just a few months ago used a virus created by our NSA to get bad guys. If they can't hold on to the backdoor keys, then we're all compromised, we're all at risk, and the bad guys will use that to wreak havoc. So this is a challenging proposition. I would agree with you, Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein, I would agree with you that, that smartphone holds important information, important evidence. The challenge is to come up with a way that Apple, or whoever made it, I'm pretty sure it's Apple, that Apple can give you access without giving bad guys access to everybody else's phone. And no one knows a way to do that. They will say they know a way to do it, but remember, the NSA leaked out all of this malware that it had written, it had created not once, but several times. The CIA did too. If backdoors exist, bad guys will get them. So it's a challenging issue. And I would underscore, there's this larger philosophical issue. We have now devices that we store our lives on, our thoughts, everything, our calendars. And if you're not a bad guy, they deserve to be protected. And these little devices didn't exist 10 years ago. So what did the FBI do before then? Just because the FBI knows of an amazing treasure trove of information doesn't mean that they should automatically have the right to access it. I think. What do you think? 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Get ready, because remember, this was a big conversation. There was a lot of shouting and huffing and puffing last time, and I think it's going to happen again. And I understand. I think the general public, if not presented with both sides of this argument, will say, well, of course the FBI ought to have access to this phone. That's why I'm saying you ought to understand there's no way to do that would still protect your privacy, the law-abiding person's privacy, not from the FBI exclusively, but from hackers, from bad guys as well. Once a backdoor exists, it's very hard to keep it locked. Back to the phones we go. Herwin's on the line from Jamaica. Hello, Herwin. How are you?
Good evening.
Welcome.
Yes, I've known you from back in ZDTV and Tech TV.
Nice.
Yeah. I'm calling about the mesh Wi-Fi as opposed to the pass-through power line starter kit.
Right.
Just wanted to know the pass-through power line starter kit is much cheaper.
Yeah.
Than the mesh
and may even be faster. So the issue is you want to expand your Wi-Fi footprint, right? You have areas that can't reach the Wi-Fi access point. Most of, it all started, we had one access point, right? Then it had to reach throughout the house. And there have been various methods for extending it. The one way was a Wi-Fi extender, which is just another radio. And the problem with that is it's half the speed of the original access point, because it spends half its time talking to the access point, half the time talking to you. So that's a bad solution. The other way to do it, of course, you could extend an Ethernet cable across the house, but nobody wants blue wires all over the house. So the other way to do it is to use the wires already in your wall. And there are two wires in many people's walls. There's of course, the power line. And there's also, for many homes, cable TV wires in the wall, coaxial cable for cable TV. So there are two ways of putting Ethernet networking, and it's not internet specific, but networking over those wires. You mentioned power line, and that works quite well. There is a degradation in speed. It's also dependent on the quality of the inside wiring, whether there's a junction box or not. But I would try power line, because what you do is you plug one end in by your router, the other end where you want it to be. And if you go to TP-Link, they make little power line adapters that have Wi-Fi radios in them. And that's going to give you very good speed. I've done that before. But when we come back, I want to tell you why mesh is another possible solution. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Let me it happens every time, right? You're in the Let me show you this.
Extension of yourself isn't crazy. To say that your phone knows more about you than you know about you isn't an exaggeration. It's a statement of fact. Do you remember your location every minute of every day? Do you remember what you said to your friend last leap day at 10:47 word for word? Yeah, of course not. Hell, without photos, entire holidays would slide out of your mind. While paperwork that tracks us has existed since papyrus without people feeling like those hieroglyphs were literally an extension of the human mind, a phone can hold the equivalent of millions of papyrus pages. At some point, a difference of amount becomes a difference of kind. Since you bought it, how many hours has your phone been more than an arm's reach away? Possibly 0. There's no other object like that in your life. Given the choice to have someone read your mind or read your phone, if you seriously think about it, you'd probably pick the former. Compared to what's in your phone, your brain holds a tiny amount of information. Much of it wrong, all of it lossy. It's easy to forget what kind of embarrassment your phone contains because it has so much you can't even remember. As you discover when someone flips through a bunch of photos you thought were safe but suddenly discover aren't. And while the phone now is an extension of the self, we all know where this is going. A computer chip in your skull will eventually be as quasi-mandatory as a phone is today, and avoiding one will make you seem Amish. If we don't protect our most intimate digital devices as part of the self, legally, we're going to be in some scary places in the future, because the law is a complicated brick structure of individual laws, each resting on what came before. This is why you hear lawyers argue based on laws from 300 years ago. That's not by insanity, but by design. And it's why people freak out over court cases that lay down a new brick in a new area. It's not about this brick, it's about what will, inevitably, be built on top of it. To argue, don't worry, this law is just for this case this time, is to argue against what the law is. Like a chess player saying to his opponent, this move isn't about future moves. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. 300 years ago, someone writes a law about papers in your house at a time when papers and books were luxury items and half the population illiterate, and then it's applied to millions of intangible files on your phone, which in aggregate record every detail of your life. Maybe you think that's good, maybe you don't, but either way, the modern law is built atop the old. And it's why people are right to be concerned about each precedent-setting law, and why slippery slope fallacy does not apply here. Thinking about today's law is thinking about future law, and access to your phone today is unavoidably about access to your mind tomorrow.
All right, and we'll do part 2 of that in a little bit. You still there, Herwin?
Yes, thank you.
Good. We're going to get back to you about mesh. But I used, for a long time, I used a power line. And if it works fairly well. Okay. But it can have speed issues. The other, but it is a lot cheaper. I use TP-Link, which I recommend Powerline networking devices. It probably is fine. The mesh is going to be 10 times more. Sometimes it's $300 to start US. Right. It's basically an extender system designed to avoid that half speed problem. It has a back channel for communication with the main base station.
I was using an extender, but I have concrete walls. So
that won't. Yeah. If that's another issue. If you have walls that don't transmit radio, a mesh system isn't going to be necessarily better than an extender. I would say you ought to try the power line networking. Are the wires contiguous? Is there a power box in between them or anything like that? It's one system, right?
Well, there's a power box. There's a junction. Right. So
yeah, it doesn't go over. Well, hold on a sec. Here we go. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Bring the band back down behind me, boys. We're talking to Herwin. He's in Jamaica. And he has a great question.
Have you ever been to Jamaica?
I have not, and I'm dying to go. Where should I go?
Okay. Well, we have several areas, Montego Bay, Outer Negril, but, it's best to just travel, drive around.
I want to spend a month there. I want to spend a month there.
We're following in the path of Colorado. We have legalized the weed.
They have finally, huh? Okay.
Just a small amount.
Yeah.
Just a small amount.
Well, I know ganja and reggae are the gross national product of Jamaica. So
that's what they say, but it's not true.
And jerk chicken,
yes.
Which also very good, and cigars.
Those are exports.
Yeah. So wireless networking, you were saying you have concrete walls. That's problematic, especially if there's rebar. If there's any metal in the concrete, that's problematic. Hard to get
metal in it.
Yeah, very hard to get radio signals through there because the metal acts like a Faraday cage. It basically blocks it. So you may be better off doing a hardwired network, and Powerline networking is pretty good. My experience with Powerline, and I was saying get the TP-Link devices, is that they're a little bit slower.
Okay.
Not a huge amount, but maybe
faster than the extender, though.
Yeah. Trying to remember what I was getting. I think it's close. It's better than half, but not much. Maybe 60 or 70% of full speed. The other thing is it's going to be very dependent on the wiring. And you said you have a junction box. You don't have to go through the junction box, do you? There's one outside the house, but inside the house should be all one wire, right?
Right. It's one wire, right?
Yeah. The junction box is fine. In fact, that protects you against the data going back out into the rest of the world. But as long as your wires are all continuous within the house, I think that's going to work fine.
Okay.
You're limited. Somebody's telling me, and I think this is probably about right. I think you're limited about 10 megabits. That's not bad.
No, we're below that. We're limited to about 5 megabits.
Yeah, you should be able to get, I think, almost full speed. And I think given the expense of mesh and the fact that it's still a wireless technology, still going to have trouble getting through the walls, go with Powerline. If you had cable in the walls, you could use MoCA, which is the cable version of Powerline networking. But actually, I think, and it could potentially be faster.
How do you spell that?
MoCA.
Okay. And that's available on Amazon?
Yeah, that's a similar idea where you, instead of connecting to the plug, you connect to the coax cable where it comes out of the wall for the TV set. And if you have it in both the rooms that you need, you could do that as well. But and if you can, buy this from somewhere where you can return it.
Right, certainly.
Yeah, because it may, you don't know how well it'll work until you get it in. But I think Powerline is exactly the right choice for you.
Okay, then.
Hey, it's nice to talk to you.
Much.
I'm glad you listen in Jamaica. Where in Jamaica are you?
Well, I'm about 20 miles from Negril.
Oh, nice.
In the western part of Jamaica.
Very nice. It's wonderful to talk to you. Okay. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you very much.
I love it. The internet makes this show global. I love that. Love that. Best, of course, next time you build that house is to put conduit in there, and then you can have Ethernet going all around and get full speed. But if your internet provider's 5 megabits, I think Powerline is going to work just fine. Shouldn't be a problem. Going on to Belgium now. JP on the line. Hi, JP.
Hi, Leo. How you doing?
I'm wonderful. Great to talk to you. Where in Belgium?
I'm in Brussels right now.
Brussels. All right. The French part or the Flemish part?
Well, actually, Brussels speaks both parts, so that's the capital.
It's the capital of Europe.
As well.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
As well.
What can I do for you?
French, actually, I have 2 questions and 1 clarification.
Okay.
The first question is, I recently just got a new machine, an H910 Celsius made by Fujitsu.
Okay.
Nice machine. It's a workstation, or at least it's categorized as a workstation. But Firefox no longer plays live feeds, stating that it will not read HTML5 YouTube live feeds. It is not compatible with the H.264 codec. I don't know. I've been looking into this for several months, and I don't find any answer. I was wondering if you had heard anything about that, or is there really an incompatibility, or because Chrome is working.
Yeah.
The same version of which is 56.0.2 on this machine and on my Mac. On the Mac, it's working. So why is it that it's not working?
There are two possible problems. One, of course, is that Firefox has deprecated NPAPI plugins. So if you had a plugin that was running the video, those wouldn't work anymore. But I think it's much more likely that there isn't a consensus on what the video tag does. The HTML5 doesn't actually specify a codec for streaming video. It merely offers a tag, bracket video bracket, and whatever's in there should be played by the browser, but the browser gets to decide what codec it wants to support. And Firefox being a kind of aggressively open source, it sounds like Firefox, and by the way, I don't use Firefox, I use Chrome, so I haven't seen this. But I'm wondering if it is the issue is that many people view the MP4 codecs as not open and free, but encumbered. The MPEG Alliance kind of controls these, MPEG LA, and sometimes charges license fees. They say, we're not going to charge open source, but there's some discomfort in the open source community about that. So it may be that they only support VP6. Does YouTube work? Can you watch YouTube videos?
I can watch regular videos. It's
just not the live stuff. Oh, well, that may be, okay. So that may be HLS, which is another, this is a mess, isn't it? HLS streaming may be broken, and that's a particular kind of video streaming that is kind of spottily supported by browsers. Let me just see if Mozilla, you said you're using which version, 56?
56, yeah.
Mozilla 56 HLS. It may be that you need a plugin. There are third-party plugins that will do this. In fact, there's an ad in HLS Stream Detector that might be something to do that would perhaps solve this problem. I suspect that. So, when you're watching live video, it has to stream over HTTP live streaming, or HLS. And this was unfortunately an Apple protocol. So Apple supports it very well. But again, the folks at Firefox are kind of funny about proprietary protocols. So I'm wondering, I'm going to have to rely on the chat room for this one, JP, and I'm watching what they say. I guess I might have Firefox here. I can download it real quickly if I don't and see what the issue is. But hang on. I know you're in Belgium, but keep listening if you can, or join the podcast after the fact, or maybe check out the podcast at techguylabs.com, and I'll see if we can find the answer for you. I've just launched Firefox to see what's going on. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. JP, hang on for a sec because we're still on, but I just had to go for a break. Is it in? Is it YouTube Live particularly, or which one are you not getting? Where can you not see streaming?
Oh, if I go to Firefox and I go to YouTube and I'll just type in the search field live feed.
Yeah.
There'll be like all sorts of games going on and what have you.
Let me see if we can see.
And I can click any of those and no go.
So I'm watching on Firefox our live feed at youtube.com/twit. And it's doing fine. Let me just... So I'm wondering, it sounds like it might be an issue. Let's see which version here. This is 52. Did it used to work and then suddenly didn't work?
Well, it works fine with other machines. It's just that on this machine, it's not working. And I have replaced the video card. I had an M3000. And I just went ahead and swapped it with the M4000. I still have the same problem.
That's interesting. So I am seeing, this is a Debian box. It's a Linux box. I wonder if this is specific to your machine then. Chat room, are you able to? Oh, it's not your video? Oh, okay, the chat room's coming up with a variety of things. Neo says you have your video card's too old? That can't be, though, Neo. Really? You need a modern video?
NVIDIA,
no.
NVIDIA 4000, no.
No, that can't be. Let me... Let me see if I can get a later Firefox on here. What am I? Oh, I'm on Debian. Damn it. This is the one thing about being on using different Linux variations. Firefox.
I mean, maybe I should mention that I'm running Windows 10.
Yeah, that should make it easier, right?
Yeah.
So there's a mix of responses here, which is kind of interesting in the chat room. Everything from it's the video card, which I don't think it's the case, to plugins. Yeah, people are using it on their versions of Firefox. Boy, that's a puzzler. Do you have any plugins installed? Do you think it's a plugin that might be blocking it?
No, it's a total clean. I mean, I do have the AdBlock Plus, but that's it.
Maybe try disabling the ad blocker just to see.
Yeah.
And then you're using. You don't have. Do you have any security software installed on there?
No, just Windows Defender. That's it.
Okay. So they're telling me if you click on the video, they have a copy debug info and show stats. It might give you some additional information. Thank you, Missing, in the chat room.
Yeah. Hold on.
But I am on 52 watching YouTube live streams without trouble. So I'm not sure. I guess you right-click, copy debug info. You could paste that into something and see. Troubleshoot playback issue. Yeah, that's just a reporting tool. Boy, I'm not sure. I am not sure. You stumped me, JP.
Yeah. I just it's something that I discovered when I got the machine. I installed Firefox because I like Firefox.
Yeah, I like it too. And there's no reason it shouldn't work. Try the YouTube troubleshooting page. That may have some additional information about installed codecs and things like that. I got to run. Hey, thank you, JP. Nice to have you online.
Take care.
Appreciate
Bye-bye.
it. Take care. Needs to disable iGPU in his BIOS. Wow. Neo, who is quite the smart hacker fella, has given me a link to an interesting possible solution to JP's problem involving an NVIDIA GPU and a setting in your system setup called iGPU. And we'll put a link in the show notes to a YouTube video that describes this problem and says he was able to fix his problem. I don't know if that's it or not. I'm not sure what's going on, honestly. And I'm able to use Firefox and watch live streaming videos. So it sounds like it's something particular in JP's configuration. Those are the hardest things to fix. It's one of the most challenging problems with fixing, issues in Windows particularly, because there's almost an infinitude of setups. Not just the hardware, although there are quite a few hardware possibilities, but the software too. And so many things can happen. I would certainly disable all the plugins that you have on your Firefox. That's a first step anyway, in any browser, to start it up in a safe mode, basically. And let me just check. You can remove them. That would be the easiest way, and you could do that in the add-ons section of the menu. There's a manager. I wonder if there's a way to start in safe mode. I bet there is. Probably Google Firefox safe mode. You can find that. But I'm running, Debian Linux with Firefox 52, and I can watch streaming videos, so I'm not sure what's going on. Howard is in Mission Viejo, California, our next caller. Hi, Howard. I hope you've got an easier problem to solve.
Oh, this is easy, Leo. Just got an iPhone 10.
Congratulations. How do you like it?
It's fine, but it's never that easy.
It's technology, right?
It just starts.
Yeah.
At the Apple Store, took me 5.5 hours to back up my old iPhone 4 that I was coming from to the iCloud so they could, put everything back on a new phone.
It was nice of them to help you with that. You just stood around for 5 hours, huh?
Well, I don't have a choice because I don't have Wi-Fi at the house.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
Let me just tell you, for future reference, the easiest way to do this is to plug it into the computer with a USB cable. It'll back up in minutes.
Back up to what, iTunes?
iTunes.
Okay.
That's what when I get a new iPhone, first thing I do is take the old iPhone, I connect it to iTunes. There's a checkbox when you do that to encrypt the backup. I always turn that on. Don't forget the password. But the reason you do that is it'll save passwords for Wi-Fi, things like that.
Okay.
And then you back up the phone. Then when you get the new phone, you plug it into iTunes. And actually, as you do the setup, there's a point at which Apple will ask you, do you want to restore from a previous phone? You say yes. It says, all right, plug into iTunes. You plug it in. The whole process takes maybe 5-10 minutes.
Wow. Okay. And they did tell me I could go home and do that. And I said, well, yeah, if I wanted to do that, I would have bought an Android phone. I want an Apple experience. But anyway, my problem is now I got a Cisco cable modem, D-Link 8-point router, Cat 6 to every place, every room in the house.
That's a good setup. You got a good setup.
Yeah, but Wi-Fi nowhere. And they tell me the only way I can get updates to the iPhone is by Wi-Fi.
Yeah, isn't that rotten?
Yeah.
That's not strictly true. That's the same process. If you wished, you can connect it via a USB cable. If you have a computer that's connected to the internet, iTunes will download the new version of iOS and then install it on the phone. But
but
over-the-air updates are always easier, and that's pretty much how everybody does
I'd rather do that.
Yeah.
So I just can't, like I said, I got right now an 8-point, Ethernet router. I just can't hook up an Eero to that, right?
Yeah, sure you can.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Any Wi-Fi router you can hook up to it. Now, here's the one trick. You don't want to do – a router is routing. Is one of the things it does. We first started using routers just so we could have more than one computer on an internet connection, right? And what it does is it routes packets. A packet comes in from the internet, and the router goes, oh, yeah, you want to go there. Oh, yeah, you want to go there. Well, how does it know where things go? Well, it does something called network address translation. Sometimes Windows calls it DHCP, where it assigns an address, an internal internet address, that 192.168.1. something, to each device in the house. That's what a router does. The problem is, if you put another router on there, it'll want to do that too. You don't want, we call that double natting. Bad idea. So generally speaking, what you do if you're going to put any other, anything you got, any Wi-Fi router, Eero, Netgear, Asus, whatever you got, you'd go into the settings and you say, please use bridge mode. What that's telling the router is don't route, just be a Wi-Fi access point. We're gonna let the Cisco do the routing.
Okay.
Okay. So you can do it the other way. In fact, Eero kind of prefers it. A lot of these mesh routers want to be doing the routing. Right. And the reason is they can do quality of service, then they can reassign, they can mess with the system in real time. So they say we'll work a little bit better if we are the router. If you wanted to, you could use it as the router. You could actually use it to replace your existing router and then just get a little switch to connect to the Eero. The Eero has 2 Ethernet ports, one from the, in this case, would be from the cable modem or the DSL modem. The other one would go out to a switch that could then serve all of those hardwired devices. But to put it in bridge mode, I think that's fine.
So if I put it in bridge mode, I would just hook it right up to one of the...
you take one of the ports coming out of your switch.
Out of the router now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you plug it into the Eero. It's online. During the Eero setup, I can't remember the Eero. I think it will detect that and say, hey, you're already routing.
Yeah.
Do you want me to be... they may not even call it bridge mode. Sometimes they obscure things by trying to use plain English. But you're looking for something that means I'm not going to be routing.
Okay, okay.
And then it'll just work fine. Yeah, it'll work great. You may not even need an Eero. Depends on how big your... Eero's a sponsor, we should mention, so I'm going to always plug them. But you may not need... You could get a simple, inexpensive Wi-Fi router if all you want to do is do it for the phone.
Inexpensive separate Wi-Fi router. Okay.
Yeah, you could. There's lots of routers. If you go to wirecutter.com, they have recommendations for inexpensive Wi-Fi routers. that you don't need a big heavy duty thing. I mean, I guess once you get it, you might start using it for more than just your phone.
No, I don't think so. Everything else works fine.
Well, then don't get an Eero. Get an Eero because that's $300 to just connect your phone.
Yeah, 2 or 3 units.
Yeah, you can get a cheap Wi-Fi router. Get a $50 Wi-Fi router. You'll have to be in the same room with it, but who cares?
Okay, and the other, that's the thing too, because I would use it in the bedroom where we, leave the phones at night, because they say the phone has to be all.
Well, how far is the bedroom from the?
It's upstairs.
Yeah, you don't need an Eero. Eero is it sounds like overkill.
Yeah.
Just get a good router. Go to thewirecutter.com. They like the net. It's a little pricey, but their favorite router is the Netgear R7000P. Mm-hmm. It's not super cheap. I use an Asus. They like the Asus RT AC3200, but wirecutter.com will tell you. These are a couple $100 routers, but in the same model, you can go a step down and get a $100 router. I wouldn't spend more than $100 for this.
Okay, and what the other thing is, the other option would be they make like an 8-port. If I was just to get an 8-port router, and also that does
you could replace your existing router. Absolutely.
Yeah, with an 8-port.
Right.
Ethernet router and additional Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
Okay, I may go that way.
I like my Asus has 5 ports, but you can get them with more, or you just add a switch, an expensive little switch.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for the call. Yeah, enjoy your new iPhone. I'd love to hear what you think after you've had it for a little while.
Thank you, Leo.
Take care.
All righty.
8888 Ask Leo. One more segment to go, and we're going to wrap it up for the weekend. Wow. Time flies when you're geeking out. Website, we put all this information always up on the website, techguylabs.com. I hope you haven't been scribbling everything I've been saying. Just go there and click the link. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, the Archer used to be. I don't know why they no longer recommend that. Because the Archer was cheap. Now they're recommending this expensive $200 Netgear. I don't know what happened there. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Let's go to Fullerton. That's where Carrie has been very patiently waiting. Hi, Carrie.
Good afternoon, Leo.
Good afternoon.
Hey, listen, I know this sounds like a trivial question, but I'm in argument with someone who I work with at a big amusement company in
in Anaheim. Okay, I know. Okay, keep going. I ain't gonna bust you.
Name. Listen, don't ever die, because you have helped so many people.
Oh.
You are a fabulous person, and I enjoy listening to you every Sunday. You are just doing a lot of people a lot of good.
I don't plan to die anytime soon, but I sure do. I love what I do. I'm very lucky to be able to do this. Thank you. Thank you, Carrie. It's very nice of you.
DVD and thumb drives. What is the future?
Thumb drives.
And DVD.
Well, I don't think DVDs are going to be around much longer. Physical media seems to be dying out. And, computers no longer come with DVD drives. Thumb drives are really just USB drives. And I don't see USB going away anytime soon. We have seen the USB standard change. So we no longer have those big square Type A connectors. Now we have the little round Type C connectors. And they're faster. In fact, they're so fast that you could run a high-speed hard drive, even an SSD, over the USB-C port. In some cases, it's Thunderbolt, which is faster than the internal bus in many systems. Even if it's USB 3.1, it's pretty darn fast. So there is a lot of headroom. We're already seeing new specs for the next generation USB. USB is here to stay, and whether it's a thumb drive or an external spinning drive or an SSD, there's all sorts of form factors. I don't think USB drives are going anywhere. But why are you? Let me ask why you're asking. What is it that you want to? Do you want to save something on a backups? Well, there are other reasons not to use DVDs. DVDs don't last.
What's the average length of life?
Well, it depends a lot on the environment. So DVDs and CDs both are made with a number of layers. There's the two plastic layers that are what you touch on the outside. But inside there, There's a strata that's pits and bumps. That's the ones and zeros. And, of course, a DVD and CD player both use lasers to read those pits and bumps. But in order to read those pits and bumps, they have to reflect light off of them. So behind the layer that has the pits and bumps is a mylar sheet, a reflective, sometimes it's metallic sheet that reflects the light of the laser. Yes. That's the problem. That thing can oxidize, fall apart, ripple, and then you got an unreadable CD or DVD. So, if kept in dark conditions, in dry conditions, at regulated temperatures, they may last forever. But in general, if you're in a humid environment, I've heard people in Florida complain their DVDs rust out in a year or two.
Oh, my gosh.
So I don't think DVD is a great choice. Frankly, I wouldn't use a USB thumb drive either. I would go with a USB hard drive, SSD hard drive, if you want something that's going to last. But no matter what you do, you've got to keep an eye on it. If you had put everything on zip disks 10 years ago, you wouldn't have a backup today, would you?
Not at all.
I think a few of us have zip disks in our closets we can't read anymore.
Exactly. What do you think is the actual future of external hard drives?
Well,
external drives.
I do think that the format that you're going to want to stick with, at least for the time being, is a USB connected external drive, whether spinning or SSD, solid state. I like the SSD drives. I think those are going to last a good long time. So I recommend those. But no matter what, you're going to have to kind of keep an eye on it. Frankly, the best backup these days is probably cloud backup, because you don't even care what the medium is. You're backing up to network servers. And if you're using a good company, those network servers will be backing themselves up. They'll have uninterruptible power supplies. They'll be climate controlled. They'll be in environments where data loss is very unlikely. And of course, they'll have multiple copies in multiple locations. A good cloud backup service will do that. And so that's probably the best bet. You don't even have to worry about what those bits are stored on as long as you can access them. And I don't think the internet or TCP/IP is going anywhere in the next 100 years.
What about portable right now, as far as portable external drives?
I would say, I think you're safe either with a spinning drive or an SSD drive. The nice thing about spinning drives, you get much more capacity. You can get a 4 terabyte spinning drive for under $200. That's a lot of storage.
Roger.
Yeah. Get a couple. Put one in the cloud. You know, our backup solution is always is that 3-2-1, 3 copies of everything, 2 different media, one of them off-site. One of them in the cloud.
I always recommend to my guests who want their pictures saved, put them up on at least 4 or 5 different
The good news
mediums.
is that's easy now because, so many people are, if you're an Amazon Prime customer, they have unlimited storage for photos there. Google does, Flickr, Facebook. There are many, many places. You can put them in multiple places. It's an interesting puzzle. And, actually modern library science deals with this because the one thing we have from 5,000 years ago is Egyptian papyrus. That lasted. Or stone carvings, Hammurabi's Code or the Rosetta Stone carved into stone. If you'd had a hard drive back then, would you be able to read it today? I doubt it. It might still be physically working, but would you have a machine that could read it?
Exactly.
So
okay,
that's a challenge. Yeah.
And thank you for everything you've done for so many people.
You're very welcome. Kerry, it's a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for the kind words.
Pleasure talking with you, and I hope to meet you in person someday.
If you're ever in Northern California, we have an open studio. We invite anybody who wants to stop by to hang out. Got Evan Harris standing by right now, ready to help us out with questions and answers. Anytime I don't know, I look at Evan. What's the answer to that? But you're always welcome. Just email tickets@twit.tv. We'll send you the location, the secret location of our studios. And we'll put a chair out for you. We'll put a canned ham under the chair. No, I don't think we will, actually. Look, are you looking? I got him to look. Well, you know what? I think we are out of time. I only have about a minute left. It's just enough time to thank Michael Cozio, our musical director. He's the guy who plays the hits, pushes the buttons, monitors the feeds, talks to the Network Operations Center, down there in Sherman Oaks. Thank you, Michael, for being here. Of course, to Kim Schaffer, who does a great job answering the phones each week for us. And most importantly, thanks to you for being here. We try to put everything that happens in this show up on the internet where you can get to it free and easy. No sign up, no fee. Thanks to our great sponsors who foot the bill. You can go to techguylabs.com. And everything, every link, everything I talk about, all your calls are all there. First, we write them down. Thanks to James DeRuvo, who does that. Then Josh Windish takes it, and he puts audio in there, and he puts video. He does our tip of the week. He does our product of the week. It's all free and easy. You don't have to write anything down. We divide the page up into shows, then each show into hours, each hour into calls and segments. TechGuyLabs.com. And, of course, your comments much appreciated. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a great Geek Week, and I hope I will see you again next time. But for now, I'm Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. See you. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time.